Welcome. In this academic explainer, we are jumping right into the core principles and, let's be honest, the really pressing challenges in pediatric health. We're going to be using foundational nursing literature as our guide. So if you're studying this or you're already working in the field, think of this as your essential briefing on the landscape of caring for children today. So here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with a big picture look at child health, kind of like a report card. Then we'll get into the strategy for how to improve it. After that, we're going to zoom in on two of the biggest threats out there, obesity and childhood injuries. And finally, we'll unpack the risk factors that lie underneath it all. Okay, let's dive right in. Before we can even talk about caring for children, we first need to get a really clear snapshot of their health status in the United States, right here, right now. First off, let's just talk about scale for a second. We are talking about nearly 74 million children under the age of 18 in the US. I mean, that's almost a quarter of the entire population. It's a huge group with very unique and frankly vital health needs. Now, this is where the story gets really complex, almost contradictory. On one hand, we've got some major wins, public health victories like higher immunization rates. Awesome! But on the other hand, we are still wrestling with these huge, persistent challenges like poverty and concerning birth outcomes. It's this delicate dance between progress and some serious setbacks. So all those challenges, they become the most urgent priorities for anyone in pediatric care. You can see it right here, from poverty and mental health to nutrition and safety. The goal really becomes about shielding kids from this web of interconnected social, economic, and medical threats. This is what defines the field today. Okay, so how do we go from just listing problems to actually building a strategy that works? Well, the answer is in a solid framework that's all about health promotion. It's about building a healthier future right from the very start. And this is such a key idea. Health promotion isn't just about playing defense, treating sickness after it shows up. No, it's a huge shift in thinking. It's about creating the conditions for wellness from day one so that every single child gets a fair shot at being healthy. And here's what that looks like as a national strategy. This table, which is based on the Healthy People 2020 initiative, shows you the big picture goals. But look closely at those indicators on the right. See how they're direct responses to the urgent problems we just talked about? Obesity, injury, mental health, access to care. It's all connected. Now, to make this stuff practical, initiatives like Bright Futures break it down even more. These pillars, this is the day-to-day work of health promotion. It's about supporting families, keeping an eye on development, teaching good nutrition, and stopping injuries before they even have a chance to happen. All right, let's make this real. We're going to take these ideas and apply them to the single most common nutritional problem that kids in the United States are facing right now: obesity. First things first, in any academic or clinical setting, you have to have a precise definition. Childhood obesity isn't just a subjective feeling, it's a specific clinical diagnosis. It's based on a BMI that's at or above the 95th percentile when you compare kids of the same age and sex. And the scale of this problem is, well, it's staggering. 17%. That's nearly 1 out of every 5 kids and adolescents in the US who meet this clinical definition. The reason this is such a critical issue in pediatrics is because of the long-term consequences. Childhood obesity isn't just some phase they grow out of. It is a direct pathway to a whole cluster of serious cardiometabolic issues, like hypertension and problems with glucose metabolism. It basically sets the stage for heart disease and diabetes down the road. Okay, let's switch gears now from a chronic health problem to a much more immediate and acute threat. I'm talking about injuries, which are tragically the #1 cause of both death and disability for children in the United States. The data here is just incredibly sobering. I mean, just look at these numbers. While there are risks at every age, the rate for motor vehicle accidents among males aged 15 to 24 is it's overwhelming. 29.5 deaths per 100,000 people. It dwarfs almost everything else you see on this chart. But then, if we zoom in and visualize the data for the youngest kids, a totally different pattern pops up. For little boys ages 1 to 4, the biggest risk isn't a car. It's water. Drowning is the leading cause of unintentional injury death for this really vulnerable age group. So why? Why these different patterns? Why is a toddler's risk profile so completely different from a teenager's? Well, this is the crucial point, and it's a core concept in pediatric teaching. Risk is tied directly to a child's developmental stage. This slide just illustrates that concept perfectly. Think about it. A crawling infant's natural drive is to explore the world with their hands and, of course, their mouth. That's totally normal and healthy. But that exact same behavior, that natural tendency, is what creates the specific dangers of choking or poisoning. Now, watch how the risk changes. As that infant grows into a mobile toddler, their natural instinct shifts. Now they're running, climbing, and getting into everything. So what happens? The main dangers also shift. Now we're worried about falls off furniture, burns from a hot stove, or collisions. The prevention strategy has to evolve right alongside the child. But of course, development isn't the whole story. A really comprehensive risk assessment, the kind you learn about in pediatric nursing, looks at a whole constellation of factors. This includes everything from a child's natural temperament and their cognitive limits to their physical traits and, so importantly, environmental stresses like poverty. So this brings it all together, right? When you look at all this data, the mixed report card on public health, the strategic plans, the deep dives into risks like obesity and injury, it all boils down to one fundamental question about the entire purpose of this profession. And the answer is crystal clear. The most vital role a pediatric health professional has is to get there first. It's about looking ahead, anticipating the risks a child is going to face at each and every stage of development, and then using education, what we call anticipatory guidance, to empower families with the knowledge to keep their kids safe and healthy. That is the absolute heart of modern pediatric care.